Vanisher Horizon Scraper by Quadeca. Now, in my lifetime of listening to music and making videos on the music I listen to, I never thought this could happen in my life. Genuinely, I am overwhelmed to be talking about this album and making a video on it because of how complex it is, how detailed it is, and honestly just how much I loved it. Legitimately, I think if I talked about everything I could on this project, this video could be like 5+ hours long. Now, I don't think you guys want to see me talk about a single album for that long, and I honestly just don't have the time to do that. So, I'm gonna really try and break this down and condense this, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. The first thing I have to say is I have never heard anything, ever, that sounds like Vanisher Horizon Scraper besides Vanisher Horizon Scraper. Now, I've listened to a lot of music. Like a lot of music. It's one of my biggest passions. I love music. I've listened to so many different artists, and I've never heard anything that sounds like this. There might be something out there. I haven't listened to every piece of music ever, but I was shocked, to say the least, that I legitimately, in terms of the production at least, have never heard anything that sounds like this. And the reason why I got that reaction, the reason why Quadeca was able to create an album like that, is because he genre bended so much within each song, throughout each track separately. There's so much different instruments, so many different instruments throughout this project that all mix together. This project is mixed so well. He's using a lot of eerie, kind of industrial and out there sounds, but still is able to just make it all combine into one uniform sound. And really, it just allows for one of the most unique and experimental listens I've ever had. Plus, each song sounds different. Now, Quadeca said this actually, I think in one of the music videos for one of the singles he released. He said each song sounds different. And I can't lie, at first I kind of disagreed with him because he released, at that point, 2 singles, Godstained and Monday, and both of those do sound kind of similar. They have that, heavy acoustic guitar sound. So I thought maybe he was exaggerating a little bit. He was not. Every song, with the exception of those 2 singles, does sound completely different from each other. And that just allows for such an exciting and unpredictable listen. That first time through especially, you never know what you're gonna hear next. And even though pretty much every song sounds different, it still comes off as one solid, cohesive project. Nothing really feels out of place. No song feels like it shouldn't be in there. And I think the reason for that is because of the very strong messaging and themes throughout the album. And that's a very, very tough thing to do. The amount of moods that he balances throughout this project as well through the production is also just so impressive. He'll have a track like Thunder or the song with Danny Brown that's much more upbeat, much more in your face, a little crazy, but then he also just has these beautiful melodic singing performances where he's hitting all these high notes, and that was another thing that I just loved about this project. Now, this is a bold statement I'm about to make, but I don't care because it is how I'm feeling right now. I'm not going to solidify anything because I do want the album to live with me a little bit more. I want to see if anything changes as the months and even years go by, honestly. But this album has the potential to be the best production I've ever heard on any music project ever. For the longest time, I considered Kanye West as at least the best rap producer of all time. Vanisher Horizon Scraper, in my opinion, might be better than anything Kanye has ever produced. Crazy thing to say. I feel like so many people are gonna hate me for saying that, but I've never heard anything like this before, and it was so impressive how he was able to balance all these different moods, all these different instruments, all these different sounds, and mix it together perfectly. It was astonishing and mind-boggling. Now, as detailed and complex as the production was, the lyrics and messaging were right at that high standard as well that the production set. I feel like his lyrics, Quadeca's lyrics, get overlooked a lot of times because the vocal effects he uses, it makes it a little harder to hear what he's saying all the time. Sometimes it doesn't come out in the most clean way, which isn't a bad thing. It's the vibe he goes for, it's his aesthetic, it's how his music is supposed to sound. But if you're not reading the lyrics along with the song, it could be hard to understand what he's saying sometimes. So I feel like people don't focus on it as much. There is genuinely layered messaging in this album, though, and it's one of those projects where I feel like even years down the line, there could still be things I'm unpacking about the themes of Vanisher Horizon Scraper, which is the mark of a great album and also a project that you could tell the artist put a lot of effort into and truly made his story, his message, his art that he wanted to share. I mean, the symbolism, the emotion that Quadeca pours into this album, you could truly feel it throughout the entire listen, whether that be, you know, in the last track when you have those heavy, almost psychedelic drums coming in, and it almost mimics like the boat that you see in the movie and the music videos sinking, or how that boat in general and Quadeca's journey out to the sea, sailing, it to me symbolizes him trying to seclude himself from life so that he can regain a bit of power and control in that same life. And, you know, I don't even want to talk about the message and the concept too much, because it is still something I'm trying to figure out and analyze, but it's a beautiful masterpiece. Another thing I want to highlight are his vocals. I feel like a lot of people who will hate on Quadeca will hate on him because they don't like his singing. They'll say his vocals aren't good. But I feel like with each project, his singing especially has improved drastically. Maybe 5 years ago, you could have knocked him for not always singing on key or being a little flat or whatever it might be. But now, he is genuinely using his voice and the production to create these atmospheric, beautiful tracks. He's hitting all his notes. He's adding his own style to his singing performances, which, you know, he also does accomplish through the many vocal effects that he adds to his voice, which I could see a lot of people not liking that either, but I think it just adds to the whole vibe of these tracks and adds to that experimental factor that his music has. I love his vocals, and his rapping I think is on point too, just as much as his singing. And his background vocals, my goodness, I feel like Quadeca with his last 3 albums, not just Vanisher Horizon Scraper, has perfected background vocals. Every time they're so subtle, but contribute so much to each track in terms of gluing the song together and giving it a certain vibe. Now, with all the stuff I said in this video, I could already see a bunch of comments of people saying, I'm glazing like there's no tomorrow, glazed, W glaze, L glaze. Well, look, what I have to say to that is I get this album is not the most digestible project of all time, right? Most of the songs are 5 minutes plus. People don't like listening to long songs like that, especially now. It's also very experimental and unique, which is something I love, but I could see that being a turnoff for a lot of people as well. And I think ultimately what it comes down to is if you are a casual music listener, and I don't mean that in like a demeaning way. I'm not trying to be like, oh, if you don't like Quadeca, you're a casual. No. But if you listen to music for background noise, because, you know, it's a nice little presence when you're in the car driving or studying, if that's what you use music for, you might not like this album. But if you love music, and I don't mean like you get excited for your Spotify Wrapped every year, I mean you obsess over like a drum pattern or how a synth is worked into a beat. I mean if you love music and are truly passionate about it, like I am, I think you're gonna love this album. I think similarly to how I'm reacting, you will think this is one of the best pieces of music you've ever heard. I'm not gonna say it's one of the best albums I've ever heard yet, even though I kind of already just said that. I do want to let it live with me a little bit, like I said earlier in the video. But yeah, if you truly love music and obsess over it, there's way too much in this project to not be wowed by it. I'm giving this a 10 out of 10. My first 10 out of 10 I ever gave on my YouTube channel.